Welcome, everyone. Today the topic is family bonds. So, how do family bonds impact us, our personality, who we are, and who we become, and who we may even want to become? And so, what we'll do is we'll just go into the the dynamics of family bonds, what they bring, and what happens when they fail. What are the impact they create? And then we'll get into strategy of building family bonds. Even if you had difficulty with family bonds in your past growing up, there is always an ability to retune them, and I'll show you some examples. I'm actually a working example on that. And we'll get into our meditation, of course, and then into tuning for whatever time we get, and then we'll open up for Q&A. So that's our story for today. So let's get into this famous circle. And what I did is I talked about family bonds that impact us, so I just highlighted the one we are talking about. So here it's about between parents and children, which is can be both you as a child, but you as a parent as well, if you are. And so there is the father and the son and daughter. There's between mother and the daughter and the son. So those are relationships, bondings. Then within the parents, okay, so your parents, how is been their bond with each other, and then if you are married or if you're having a partner, what is your bond? How is your bond? So that has an impact. And then with siblings, so if you have a brother and sister, so how that bond is and how that can impact. So we'll get into this is our scope of today's session. Before we go into family bond and why, etc., I think it's interesting to look at how family bonds have expectations as a little one comes in and grows. Okay, so when in pregnancy state, when you as a little one were waiting to come into the world, what is the bond? What is the expectation from that bond with the mother? It's about having happiness and safety. This is what is an expectation by the baby when it is still in mother's womb. Senses happiness and senses safety. When it comes into the world, the first 1 year, it's all about nurture, it's about presence, and it's about feeling safe. There have been a lot of studies that have been done on looking at PTSD and all kind of other later on diseases. And in the research, they found that between 0 and 1, whenever the child felt not safe, did not feel the presence of the mother or the father, especially mother, or did not get nurtured, had a absolute profound effect afterwards. Then between 1 and 5, it's when they start to become aware because they start to move around. The kids, they start to explore. They're still in a subconscious state, which means everything that is outside is being taken by inside as truth. So the consciousness is not yet been built. But what they are looking for is safety still, and ability to experiment. So they want to try things, and they would like that the parent keeps them safe, but they want to try. And safety and presence with ability to allowing to experiment is what is expectation from the bond. When it goes from 6 to 12, this is when the conscious mind starts to develop, and this is when awareness, expansion, and learning happens. Uh, there have been many studies, and even social studies, that have been done that proves that between 6 to 12, the highways, they call it highways in your mental tapestry, which is in your neurology, that get constructed or built are key to the whole personality, and they are almost non-changeable, okay? In the sense that they become hardwired. Now, this has been, of course, in many other experiences and experiments, this has been said that you can make changes, but what is said is that it becomes hardwired during this period, 6 to 12. So this is where what they expect is safety to allow experiences. So you see where they would go out of their home. So you see school starts here, learning starts here, uh, teachers and friends and other people come into the perimeter of the child, and so what they are looking for is, again, safely allowed to experience the world, so which means can come back home and be feel safe, and also teaching values. 12 to 18 is when there are lots of chemical changes, what is called teenage. Okay? Uh, the the chemical changes start to happen, physical changes start to happen, and uh, and they want to experience the world and fail with ease. So they can easily fail because behind what they are expecting is understanding and guidance or mentoring. This is where most guidance as a parent or as even comes from teachers, or if there's an elder sibling, that's where they take the most. But it has to be done in a place of understanding. This is where most of the difficulties when people say, well, I am having a teenage child and we are having lots of issues, is because he's missing understanding and is missing guidance and sense of guidance. And then 18 plus, well, this is where what they start to build their your of life, as we call. This is the beginning of professional or personal life. Relationships get formed. You get into your universities and do your degrees, or start to experience being into building your professional life. And so, what is expected from the family bond is presence. I can go back, I can get into whatever issues. I have someone there which will back me up and will be present for me. So just to food for thought, knowing what are the expectations that is coming from the as child grows from being conceived to the adult. Now, what happens when there are gaps in family bonds? Because of course, when there are gaps, things happen. So and this is one of the key work uh, we do is about when we talk about protectors, and when we are doing the work meditation, the protectors actually get formed. Because why they get formed? Because it's a compensation mechanism. So when I do not feel safe as a 5-year-old, when I must be held and nurtured, or I must be uh, protected from external danger, if that doesn't happen, then my inner protector gets formed. That's what they start to form. And and their role is to make sure that you do not get into the same situation again, or what would happen if you are getting into the same danger again. So this is what protectors do. And and then the whole person is acts from that viewpoint of the protector, because the protector becomes like the lens, and it looks at the world from that point of view. And that's why there is a lot of blame. What happens to, you said this is and this is where the second point which I'm saying is if children get labeled. He's an angry kid, he's a lonely kid, he's not social kid, he's very moody, he's doing self-harm, he's depressed, he's introvert, he's aggressive, he's violent. Now those labels are actually the protectors coming up and doing the work. So the protectors came in because something in the bond got missed. So they had to be formed as a way to compensate. And as they wherever there is more danger, wherever there is less from the family bond, the stronger these protectors become, and the stronger are those what they call labels and personality. Uh, and what happens further is that they become accepted as reality. So the label is then given to the kid that this is an angry kid or a violent kid or whatever label that goes. And there's almost little or no correction by the social system. And so that labeling gets self inflicted in a way, because when the world tells me I am an angry kid, I start to believe that I am an angry kid, and then I keep acting from that place. So there is no way that I can escape from it because I have no mechanism. There's literally very little mechanism that exists. There is some mechanism that can exist, but very little and none. And so come forward, uh, they we grow up, and that's why when we find ourselves in situations where we can't make relationship, we are afraid, we are fearful, we get into panic, we can get into this. All these are your protectors. Okay. Yeah, exactly what you said, Daria. It's they get named, and those names are labels, but the labels are towards the inner system, which is your protector, that actually is trying to help you to survive from a non-availability of something that was needed. Okay, what we said, saw in the previous chart. Okay, so it's a compensation for that. and and we live life like that. And when do we start to change? Well, when dramatic events start to happen. Okay? That's the so we live our life almost autopilot with all those things labeled or not at our deep subconscious level, and then dramatic events or diseases or things happen. I mean, burnouts or whatever. And if I take my case, I lived autopilot throughout my life, uh, almost in that mode till I had my burnout, and that's when you start to wake up and saying there's something wrong, and uh, and then you start to look for answers, and of course that's where I say there's a need for right guidance and a right understanding and guidance, and this is very important in my experiences. The labeling must be considered as something that you took on in order to protect from what was lacking growing up. And it is not you. This is very, very important. So which means that you can always go back. And the whole work we do is all about going back to the self to understand the protector, to take away all the anger, the blame, the guilt, the shame, etc., which is held by the protectors, because the 5-year, the 3-year, the 2-year-old, or the one in the womb had to face difficulty and had to manage it, and that management became the protectors. And if we have a right understanding within ourselves that this is not who we are, this is what we became as a consequence of what we went through. So that's a very big difference, because it becomes a point of empowerment. And then you can say, well, if that was a consequence of what I went through, then I have ability to bring it back to me, to come back to being me. And so let's look at what are the positives, because on the other side, there are lots of good which come from positive from family bonds. You never feel alone. You can take risks. Uh, freedom to fly. Uh, if you have been through strong family bonds, you actually have a tendency to create your own. You will repeat uh, because you know the value of family bonds. from your own good or bad experiences. So one of the things that does happen is when you work on your own correction of your family bonds missing, actually, or you already started to work on it, you will see that you will start to create very different experiences of your own family bond that you will create. Okay, so let me illustrate. If as my father was very strong and very abusive to me, I was absolutely opposite to my sons. Okay, because I knew what that did to me, so I did exactly the opposite. So once you understand, you can actually start to do exactly what you should do right within your own family band. Of course, you reduce diseases and medical bills. I mean, overall health is one of the side effects of a very strong family bond. And and you read all the biographies of people that are highly successful. They have the two things, which is interesting. One is they have been traumatized, and so that's traumas create a lot of interesting muscles, inner muscles for them to become resilient and grow. At the same time, they all have very strong value on family bonds. They all will tell you that, and you can hear from most of them. So that's just to give another perspective of that. And what I have experienced in my work is that even though you may have had difficulty in family bonds, you can heal them, because what happens is there's a reflection of your father or your mother or your brother or whoever you felt abused inside of you. And it's not outside, it's inside. And inside, you can do your work. And so, what is the strategy? And the strategy is this one, based on this understanding, is find inside of you which family bond has a strong reaction. And you can know that. I mean, if I say, think about your mother and you have difficulty with your mother, immediately something will come up and will show you itself. But this is part inside of you, which is a protector inside of you. And you just link it to one of your family member and become aware of the inner system feels about that relationship, because that's important. And then what you do is you build connection to self. Start to understand what is the objection inside of you related to the mother or the father or the brother or your wife or whoever in your family bond. Okay. And once you build an understanding, then what you do is we do two things. We understand the fears, but we also do something different here. What we do is we start to understand how that impacted my life, but from a place of curiosity and compassion, not from a place of anger. Because once you do that, when you switch to curiosity and compassion, then those parts, they start to tell you what you missed, what happened. And most of the time, they will also start to tell you what you need to do to break free from it, because they are tired of holding that fort for you. There's a question there. What about if with people who have only one parent? What does happen, I had this 2 days ago, I was talking to somebody on that, is that inside you, the missing parent has a protector. So if you miss the father and you had a mother and father was missing, the fact that the father was missing has a protector inside of you. And when you think about a father figure, immediately you will see an reaction inside of you. And that reaction is your protector speaking up, saying, well, because he was not there, I felt unsafe or whatever, but there is your reality. So I'm just generalizing it. And what we do is you basically go back and look at every family bond and find the weakness there, and then do the exercise step number 2 And there's something else we also would do is what is the vision of your family bond? Because your inner system, your parts that are become that are your protectors, that are in fear in whatever state they're in, they also have to understand that this is what you, me, wants. So the building of a vision is very important. And then you continue to do this work till you find, eh, as long as you find a resistance to, resistance to any of the family member, you keep doing this circle till you come out of it and you think about your father or mother, whoever, and you are done. And it may take time. Of course, this is a this is a self-love activity, but the outcome will be absolutely beautiful because all the good things that are there of strong family bonds. Okay. So from here, let's practice. Okay. Right. This is for the theory. Let's go into action. So I want you to. So there's one thing I want to tell you is that, and I think I discovered last week in our discussion Q&A, is you don't have to close your eyes all the time. If you want to write while you are doing the practice, open your eyes and write, because sometimes it apparently looks like it works. So whatever works for you. So you don't have to just keep your eyes closed all the time. You can close your eyes. When something comes up and you want to write it down, don't hesitate to write it down. Open your eyes and write it down. Okay, so here we go. So what we are going to do is we are going to pick father and mother. Okay, and we are going to work on the two of them. Okay, in this session, and then you can use these mechanics to work on any of the relationship afterwards. Okay, so let's settle in. I want you to just settle in, and you can keep your eyes open or close your eyes as you want. Just feel your body getting comfortable. And see if you can sense every part of your body. Start from your feet and go up, legs, thighs, into your belly, into your chest, into your shoulders, into your arms, into your neck, into your head, and sense whatever sensation you're feeling there. Just notice them. See if you can connect to your breathing. And just notice how the breath is going in and out of your body. Just follow the breath and see your body continuing to relax. And once more time, just scan your body and see if there are any sensations you feel. Now we are going to pick father and mother as a family bond. So let's start with your mother. So just think about your mother. And as you think about your mother, just notice any sensations you feel in or around your body. And notice where you feel it. Which part of your body you have a sensation. Can be inside your body or outside. And as you notice that sensation, just see if you can connect to it. because you can sense it. See if you can connect to it. And as you connect to it, just notice how you feel towards it, towards the sensation. Just acknowledge within you, this is how I feel towards this part of me. That came up when I thought about my mother. So you may feel angry or sad or any sense, any feeling. Just notice that feeling. What feeling do you have when you connect to this part of you? Or love or compassion, whatever it is, just notice that feeling. And see if you can be a bit curious about it. I was thinking about my mother and I have this sensation here. What could this sensation represent? Just be curious. And from this place of curiosity, see if you can ask a couple of questions to this part of you where you have the sensation and let it respond to you. Ask it, what is your intention for me? And let it answer. And as you hear its intention, see what makes sense for you. Just note how it makes sense to you. And you can ask this part again that what kind of impact do you try to have on my life, on me or people around me? What kind of impact do you try to have on me or people around me? And see what it answers to you. Yeah, notice what it said to you and see if you can be a little bit compassionate towards it. Understand what it meant, what kind of impact it tries to have on you, its intention, and see if you can be a bit compassionate towards it. And notice how that sensation changes as you become compassionate. And now ask it, what are you afraid would happen to me? Let it respond. and say, and then what would happen? If that happens, then what would happen? And then ask, and finally, what are you really, really afraid of for me? So see how it makes sense to you, what it just told you, because it told you what it is protecting you from. And notice how you feel towards it now. And you can let it know. And notice how it changes. You can ask it its name, saying, what can I name you with? And see how it responds to you. So give it a name. And remember that name. Now ask it, what needs to happen for you to be much less present in my life, for you to calm down? What needs to happen for you to calm down or be less present in my life? Take note of all the inputs it gives you. And notice how you feel when you hear those inputs. Thank it for its presence and let that part know that you are going to come back and work with it to understand even deeper. And let it rest on the side. You can say, well, go on one side, and because I'm going to bring in my father. Now see if you can think about your father. Or think about a father figure if you didn't have one. And notice what you feel and where you feel it in and around your body. Just notice. Where do you feel it in or around your body? And notice how do you feel towards it. And again, notice if you feel anger or frustration or guilt or shame or anything. See if you can become a bit curious towards it. because this is part of you that is holding experience from the Father. So see if you can be curious towards this part of you and connect to it and ask it what it wants you to know about itself. Then tell me about you and see what it answers. I'm curious about what you are going to bring me. And see what it answers to you. And notice how you feel toward this as you hear it. And see if you can stay curious, because it could hold things that could be a lot of information for you. And say from the place of curiosity, ask it, what is your intention for me? And let it respond. Ask it, what kind of impact do you try to have on me or people around me? And see what it tells you. What kind of impact do you have on me or people around me? And see how it makes sense to you. And let it know. And see if you can be a bit more compassionate towards it. And ask it, what are you afraid would happen to me? If you take that answer and you ask again, saying, and then what happens? What are your real fears for me? What are you really, really afraid of? And let it respond. It just told you what it is afraid and what it is protecting you from. See if it makes sense for you. And let it know. Ask it a question. Do you like doing what you do inside of me, or you have to do it? And see if what it responds. And you can ask another question. If you had a choice to do something else, would you do that instead of doing this for me? If it had answered in yes, then it is looking for something to be free. So ask it, what needs to happen for you to be free, for you to be less present and be calm, and let it respond. Now thank it for letting you know whatever it did. And think about the father and mother again and see if there's anybody else inside of you who wants to come up and speak their mind. So invite any other part that wants to come up and share something with you, wants to show his presence. And see if you notice any sensation anywhere. If you do, just notice where you feel it, in or around your body. And connect to it and ask it, what do you want me to know about you? And see what it tells you. You can ask it, what are you afraid would happen to me? And see how it responds. And you can also ask, what needs to happen for you to be relaxed and be less present? And notice how it feels to you hearing what it just told you. And see if you can stay in a place of compassion for all these parts of you that spoke up and showed themselves up. You can always name them, and you know where they exist in and around your body. You can thank them for being present, for doing what they've done, and you're grateful for their presence in your life. Now take a moment and share with all three of them your ideal vision of a family bond. What do you want for you? And let them all hear it from inside of you. What is your vision of a family bond? What do you want? And notice how you feel as you share your vision of the family bond. And you can ask all three of them if they got it and see how they respond to you. You can tell all three of them that you will be coming back and visiting them, checking on them to know if they want to tell you more things. And the things they said are actions to do for them to relax. You're going to reflect on them. Let them know. Thank them. Thank yourself for doing this little exercise. And when you feel ready, you can always start to come back. Be here and write down, if you haven't written, your reflection of any messages you got while I prepare for the tuning forks. Okay, so we are going to start, different microphone, and we are going to start with the tuning fork with the breathing. So if you've already been here, you know how it works. So you take a breath into your chest, you fill up your chest from your nose, and then you breathe out from your mouth as if you're breathing from your belly, and long breath out. So that's what you'll do when you hear me breathe, so do it at that time. And I'm going to start to open the two channels, one below your feet, another one on top of your head, okay? And we're going to start from below your feet. So I'm just below your feet, pointing the tuning fork into your feet through the backbone, top of your head. Okay, so today there's a lot of resistance. Go straight into the belly, so into identity. Take a breath. Is better, clearer. Take another breath. Much clearer. Okay, so I'm going to ground you, so take a breath. Now. So I go to the top of the head. And I'm opening the channel from the top of the head into backbone through the feet. This is connection to the divine. So the resistance in the belly, so in the third center, is down. Take a breath. So I'm going to still go on the third center. Is about the identity. So normally this is where the relationship with father and mother are on both sides. So no wonder we were working on that. So I'm on the third center, top of which is just solar plexus, just where your rib cage is just below there. Okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to work on both sides, on the mother side and father side. So everything you brought from them. I'm on your mother side now. So all the burdens that you could be carrying inside of you from the mother side. So this is about what your mother could have gone through in her life that has been brought into you. And there's a resistance there. So take a breath. So here's the other tuning fork. Okay, so stay with in your consciousness, everything that you know your mother went through, and just send her a blessing. Take a breath. Send her blessings. Yeah, there you go. Okay, so now I'm going to go to the other side, on the farther side. So I'm on the right side of your solar plexus. And looking at all the things that could have happened to your father in his life that has been carried on to you. Send in blessings. The breath. Okay, so whatever came up, we'll release it now. I'm just going to do the closure to allow the processing to continue. Surround you with your cocoon. 528 hertz. Now you can relax.